morning and welcome to Judaism Today. Have you ever done something that you think you can't make amends for? Have you ever dug yourself into a hole that you think you can't dig yourself out from? A relationship that you think is beyond repair, someone you haven't talked to in years, you hurt someone deeply, you've perhaps, done something terrible. You feel you're so far behind the eight ball that there's nothing left for you to do. There's an incredible insight that Mea Shiloh, the Ishbitzer, has in Parshas Naso on a very obscure portion that's nestled in the middle of the parsha. In the middle of the Torah portion, the Torah describes what's called Gezel Hager, which is if a person steals from a convert, and they have no relatives, so how do I return? There's no one to return the money to. So the Torah says, if there's no one to return money to that you've stolen, you give it to the Kohen. You return it to the Kohen. And the Ishbitzer is bothered that the introduction to this portion has to do with, the Torah says, Mikol chatos ha'adam, from any sin that a person does. So on the one hand, we have this very broad catch-all, as if you've done any sin, this is what you do. This is the prescription. This is the antidote. And on the other hand, you have a very, very narrow case, specific example. If you stole from a convert who doesn't have relatives, this is what you do. So is this a broad catch-all Torah concept? Or is this a narrow local concept limited to a very specific set of circumstances? Says the Ishbitzer, it's both. The reason is because we learned something unbelievable from the story of Gezel Hager, from stealing from a convert that has no relatives and dies. You see, when you steal from a convert that has no relatives and dies, one would think there is no repentance possible. It's all over. There's no one to return the money to. The only way to do tshuva, to do repentance for having stolen, so if I restore the money to its rightful owner. If there is no owner anymore because he died, there are no kids, there are no relatives, how can I possibly do tshuva? Comes along the Torah and says, even in that circumstance, tshuva, repentance, is possible. And that's why it has to do with the whole Torah, and really all of life itself. Because what we learn from the story of Gezel Hager is that in all circumstances, no matter how far we've dug ourselves in, no matter how far we've dug our heels in, no matter how far behind the eight ball it seems, no matter how irreparable, strained, damaged a situation may be on its surface, there is always a way out. There is always a possibility of tshuva. The paradigm for tshuva, when there is no rational way that you can dig yourself out, is the Gezel Hager. Is the Torah invents a way to right a wrong where there shouldn't be one possible. Have confidence that always, always, always that possibility is true. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Judaism Today. If you did, please make sure to follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, or check into our podcast wherever podcasts are listened to, and we look forward to hearing from you more.